Despite the huge contribution of SMEs to the Nigerian economy, challenges still hinder the growth and development of that sector. Very sensitive one. Let's talk more on this. I have in the studio the Chief Executive Officer of VIVA City PR. She's Oluwakemi Areola. Glad to have you join us, Oluwakemi.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Oluwakemi, let me start this way. Beautiful figures, 52%, 60%. We could keep reeling out these figures.
Yes.
Do you really think SMEs are contributing what they ought to contribute? In Nigeria, we'll find ourselves. Do you really see them doing what they're supposed to do, rightly?
They're trying their best, but we can say that they can definitely do better. There are a few bottlenecks, a few constraints that reduce how much they can contribute. But I feel if we give them the necessary push, which I believe the federal government is trying to give, I feel the private sector as well can assist with this. I believe they can contribute a whole lot more.
Private sector and government. Many have said there is no business of government. The government has no business in business.
Yes.
Many always say that. So this enabling environment we're talking about, private sector, government coming together, there are lots of challenges in this part of the world. So where do we really start from? From the idea, from funding, which do we really start from?
Well, we need to merge a number of different things. First and foremost, yes, you're right. The government has no business in business, but the government has business in creating an enabling environment for businesses to thrive, which the government is trying to do. And then when it comes to how to be innovative or how to begin your business, then that's left to me and you. That's left to the individual. So the individual needs to understand, okay, this is what I want to do. These are the services available to me via the government. This is what's available to me via private sector, and merge all these together to be able to make something.
How creative are Nigerian youths at this time?
Very, very creative.
I've seen a lot of beautiful things, yes, I know. But let's look critically at it and how feasible are some of these ideas?
Nigerians are extremely creative, extremely. There are so many ideas that could definitely take off. But first and foremost, the individuals need to believe in themselves. I think one of the major problems that Nigeria has is that these MSMEs don't believe in themselves. They don't believe they can do it alone. They feel they always have to wait for the government to come and make opportunities available for them. But no, you know, even when it just comes to the memes we see from day to day on social media, you can see how creative Nigerians can be. Within a matter of 10 minutes, Nigeria win the football match and different memes are out there. You know, these individuals are very creative. They are very tech savvy. They're very busy on social media. They're always on the internet. What's important for me is for them to use this time and this data to do something constructive. And as well, Nigeria is very big on export. We're very big on export of products. But an area that I'm looking into is we need to begin to focus a lot on exportation of services. There are a lot of services that we can provide internationally. You can be domiciled here in Nigeria and servicing companies globally. And that's an area that we're trying to push, put as much funding and as much backing behind as possible to ensure that that sector also thrives.
Talking about exporting service, let's dwell a little bit on that, because we know that we export products. We're trying to improve exporting of agricultural products. We're even exporting yam at the moment, you know, and all of that. We export crude oil. We do all of that in this part of the world. Now, services. Let's break it down. What are we really looking at?
Well, for instance, you know, if you go to a number of companies here in Nigeria and just do a little survey to say, who developed your website? Where was your website developed? 9 times out of 10, it will be a company in either Asia or America. Why aren't Nigerians developing websites for companies in Asia and America? And you can actually be domiciled in Lagos, in Shomolu, in, you know, wherever, in Yanya, for instance, and be servicing a multinational company. Just from your own home, from your own little office, wherever it may be. But a lot of people don't seem to realize that this is possible. I've seen a few, I've actually just contracted a young man who did a funny advert, and it went viral due to the comedy behind it. And I've just, you know, had to reach out to him on social media, and I've given him 2 massive contracts to develop such comical cartoons for major organizations. So these things are doable, even when it comes to fashion design. It's not about the actual product. So let's not look at the actual dress or jacket. Let's just look at the design, the template. That can be designed here, sent over to Asia. The product is developed, and they're wearing it over there. Nigeria is big on one natural resource, and that is the human resource. And we are not utilizing it as much as we should. And that that onus is on the individual.
Yeah.
We need to take responsibility for what we can do for ourselves and step out and get it done.
One thing that you hear most SMEs talk about, or what they, that's always what you hear everywhere you go to, is funding. Everybody talks about lack of access to funding. And you hear today the CBN is doing 220 billion for MSMEs. The Bank of Industry is doling out 100. You keep getting these figures. So tell us, have you had an experience? Have you been able to get any of this funding, or you know someone who's gotten funding so easily, you know, to actualize his or her dream?
Yes, I know many that have actually gotten funding. The situation is, and I say this to a lot of startups on a daily basis, you need to understand how to access the funding. First of all, you need to know the funding is available. So first and foremost, a lot of SMEs don't even know that these particular types of funding is available to them. Then secondly, they're unaware of what requirements they need to meet up to in order for them to access this funding. So you get them submitting funding applications without a robust business plan or financial projection. There's no, you know, I always like to say, put yourself on the other side. Put yourself in the seat of the person or the company giving you the funding. Would you give funding to someone that has no business plan or no financial forecast, that is not registered, that doesn't have a website, that doesn't have the necessary tax documentation? So all these things are necessary. A lot of people don't believe in paying tax because they say, oh, I'm not, you know, letting my money go. But if you don't pay tax, there's certain things you do not have access to. So you need to understand. And right now, the government is actually trying to reduce tax immensely for MSMEs. So you need to tap into all of these things, but first of all, you need to be aware. And being aware means you need to study. It means you need to come to certain types of events. It means you need to research online as much as possible. And then, you know, you're well informed.
Talking of research, let's look at infrastructure. It's something that is very, very important, and we know what we face here. Spending more than like 10 billion naira every year, we still have to invest years to even match up to what we have in this part of the world. Now, that also affects SMEs, successful SMEs. We have issues. You talked about transfer of resources and all of that. You talked about social media. Infrastructure challenge. We know what we have here when it has to do with internet services and all of that. Power is still a problem in this part of the world. Our roads, how do we move products from one place to another? What would you really say? What role would you really say poor infrastructure in this part of the world? What role is it playing in helping an SME or a young person achieve his or her dream as an SME, as maybe an idea creator?
Well, we do understand that there are infrastructure limitations, so to speak. I wouldn't say bad infrastructure, because infrastructure is getting a lot better. Unfortunately, you know, we've been complaining about the types of trains that we got. They're not extremely savvy. They don't look like bullets. But the truth is, the price of tomatoes in Lagos State crashed due to the trains coming. So you can't go by road, you go by train. If you have issues with your power, unfortunately, I can't personally fix the grid. But what I would say is look for ways outside the box to deal with your own personal circumstances. Instead of sitting back and complaining that, you know, we can't get it done. Let's all, if each and every little drops of water make an ocean, and if each and every one of us looks for ways around it to get stuff done, then I think we'll definitely be able to increase the MSME contribution to GDP just as a personal thing.
We really need to do that. Let's now look at agencies of government. I think the ease of doing business thing, it seems to be on the positive side. And there was even a slash in registration, that's for CAC. How well do you see people taking advantage of all of these opportunities given by government? Immensely.
Government has the MSME clinics. MSME clinics has moved around from state to state in Nigeria, and I can see that a lot of people have been taking advantage of it. The MSME clinics works with federal government agencies such as SMEDEN, Bank of Industry, Bank of Agriculture, CAC, FIRS, NITDA, Information Technology Development Agency. So there's so much. With these federal government agencies, whatever your hurdles, whatever your bottlenecks, as long as you approach the MSME clinics, it can be dealt with. We had an event in Abuja where CAC attended, and we had individuals walk up to the CAC desk, and there and then they registered their businesses, there and then they got their certificates right away. As long as you want to do it, the federal government has created that enabling environment to assist you in doing it. I think we just have to want to get it done.
Are we just getting to know that we needed to create that opportunity? If we had, look at what we saw in South Africa's figures, that was about 91% or something. So did we get to realize this late that we really need to, the last time I checked, I know we have more than 50 million, if not jobs created by SMEs.
Yes,
and, you know, because I checked from Smedan's data and all of that. So are we just getting to realize that this is time to really take, you know, it's amazing.
I totally agree, but remember, we cannot go back and fix the past. But we can fix today and we can fix tomorrow. So it's lovely that we've... because even as SMEs, if you don't look at Nigeria as a virgin market in some particular areas, I haven't spent all my life here in Nigeria. I just recently came around because I saw the immense opportunities that were available
And that's
here.
what I noticed too. People keep coming in, keep saying there are opportunities, they come in. Meanwhile, some people are trying to run out. As people see opportunities, even the population alone is an opportunity.
Exactly. You know, the issue is when you look at a painting, what you see is not what I see. When we were watching the football match the other night, everyone was, the crosses and the angles, and I was wondering, why are they wearing that color football boots? And why that color jersey? That's the first thing I spoke about. So it's your personal perception. If you can personally see what is available, if you can personally see these opportunities, then you can harness them. But if you can't see them, then, you know, I'm born, bred outside Nigeria, but I can see the opportunities here. And I've come, and I believed, one of my first beliefs is it's not about money. You put in what you can put in, and then the money would follow. But sometimes as a Nigerian or company, we tend to gun for the money first of all, and not think about what resources do I have?
Pay bills.
We all have to pay bills, but we need to look at long-term bills. We need to put strategies in place that can cater for us, our first, second generation, even third after us. But if we're being very myopic and just looking at, I'd like to make a huge sum of money from this contract by the end, and that's it. So when you walk around and say, I'm a contractor, you do not have a sustainable revenue source, you know?
Almost finally now, we've almost touched on that. I think ease of doing business, I don't know if I've also trashed this issue of multiple taxations and levies.
Yes.
You know, that's what I know SMEs really face to in this part of the world. You pay for this, and another government agency comes and says you've not paid for this, you know, and all of that. So how do we get that right? That's also, we need to know who is paying for what and what we're paying for, so that business can go on. Because when people pay multiple, according to what they say, it goes back to the consumers.
Yes, of course.
One way or the other.
Yes, of course.
So where do we go from here, talking about taxes and levies?
Well, I can 100% assure you that the federal government is looking into multiple taxations, and I can definitely guarantee you that that issue will soon be sorted out.
I love that optimism.
Oh, 100%.
Now, let's round it up this way. What would you say? Let's look at young Nigerians now, thinking of, you know, running their own businesses. What's your word to them? What are you saying to them?
Young Nigerians running their own businesses, it's about you. There will be hurdles, there will be bottlenecks, but you need to personally figure out how do you get around them in a legal way. If you can figure out how to get around them in a legal way, then you're one step ahead of the rest of the people first. Then secondly, you need to think, what are your own strengths and weaknesses? You need to think about what are your talents. You need to think about where you can make money. Don't just follow everybody else. Have a niche market for yourself. You know, hone in on your own personal USPs. And then, of course, we have an event coming up very soon. That works for MSMEs.
Oh, okay, that we'll talk about that, because that one might
yes, of course. Yes.
I will be fine if that happens. But it was nice really talking to you. We could still talk, partner, and do things,
Brilliant.
together, talking about your events and all that you have forthcoming. But I like that spirit. I can see that spirit that really we can do more for ourselves.
Of course.
I myself would like to become an SME someday.
I thought you were one already.
Maybe I have to improve
Everybody
it.
needs multiple streams of income.
Oluwakemi Areola, really nice talking to you.
Same
CEO Viva City PR. I got it right.
Yes, you did.
Thank you so much for your time.
Having me.
Well, we'll take a break. When we return, of course, we have more for you. Stay.